Abroad Pod.
Hello, listener. Thank you so much for joining us on this 38th edition of the Teaching Abroad Pod, coming at you on Wednesday, October 26th. I'm your host, Rowan Lomas, and with me this week is my colleague Lucas from the Oxford Seminars Job Placement Service. How are things going with you, Luke?
Pretty good. Things down in Costa Rica.
Beautiful, as always. It actually hasn't rained in the last 2 days, so it's kind of a minor miracle based on my experience here so far. Anyway, in our last episode, we talked a bit about some of the things I've been doing and seeing here in Costa Rica. And after the fact, I thought, I really should have named those places I recommended in case anyone wants to visit them themselves. So that waterfall we went to was at Minas del Aguacate in San Mateo, Alajuela province. And it's a bit off the beaten path, just off Route 3 west of Atenas. And it's actually, interestingly, the site of an old abandoned gold mine. And you can see some of the old equipment still sitting there right at the river's edge where the workers would have used their sieves to look for nuggets of gold and whatnot. So that's kind of neat. Apparently, if you explore the site enough, you can even find the old mine, but I didn't really explore very much. We just went to the river. And the river runs down the mountain with a number of different sized waterfalls and pools beneath them. So it's kind of a nice hike up the river to see the falls. But really, when I was there's only one worth swimming in. And then the butterfly garden we went to is called Casa de la Morfo Azul, or Blue Morpho House, which is home to quite a spectacular butterfly to see fluttering all around you, this vibrant, bright blue butterfly. And they have quite a few different climate areas within their enclosures to cater to different species. And you can really see the life cycle of the butterfly. So it's a great place to visit both kids and adults, seeing, right from the eggs to the caterpillars to the pupa breaking free to the butterfly. Quite a nice experience. And this one's just off Highway 27 west of San Jose in Guasima, Alajuela. And the animal rescue center is called Rescate Wildlife Rescue Center, also just west of San Jose on Route 3 in Alajuela. And it was formerly called Zoo Ave, but when the current owners took over, they really wanted to emphasize that it is not a zoo, but a rescue center focused on returning animals to the wild as much as possible. A lot of the locals, taxi drivers, if you're looking to go there, will refer to it as Zoo Ave. Even the Google Maps or Waze app might refer to it as such, but they really do amazing work with their rehabilitation and release sites throughout the country and are definitely worth a visit. But that's enough about Costa Rica for today's episode. We are going to jet halfway around the world to another tropical location, Thailand. Today we're going to be joined by an old friend of the pod, Brian Knox McGugan, who has a new job at a university in Thailand, and he's going to tell us all about the visa process and his new experiences getting and starting a post-secondary teaching job. But first, a word from our sponsor.
With Oxford Seminars, starting your new career teaching ESL couldn't be easier. Oxford Seminars has trained more than 70,000 teachers over the past 30 years, and you could be next. Our comprehensive 120-hour program starts with live instruction from an experienced ESL teacher, followed by convenient online modules. If your goal is to relocate overseas or even teach from the comfort of your own home, Oxford Seminars' renowned lifetime job placement service will get you where you want to be. Right now, you can get $50 off your Oxford Seminars TESL TEFL course price when paying in full by calling 1-888-225-2480 and giving the code TEACHINGABROADPOD. Visit oxfordseminars.com today to find out more.
Welcome back, listeners. We are now joined by Oxford Seminars grad and now Thailand University instructor Brian Knox McGugan. For anyone who hasn't listened to our previous episodes featuring Brian, he holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in acting from the University of Alberta, Canada, and has over 35 years of experience working in film, theater, and TV. Brian completed the Oxford Seminars TESL TEFL course in Vancouver back in 2018 and has since relocated to Thailand, where he's been busy putting his teacher training to good use in a variety of in-class and online teaching roles. Brian, welcome back to the Teaching Abroad pod.
It's great to be here, as always. Thank you for having me again.
It is
Welcome.
certainly our pleasure. So You've made some progress with regards to securing more stable employment in Thailand since your last visit. What have you been doing in terms of teaching since then, and what's up next on the university front?
Well, I was really fortunate because I know they really wanted me in the faculty based on this sort of trial by fire I had last semester. I ended up teaching last semester as a guest instructor, and that's at the International College of Cairo University. And they just kind of threw me into this class, which I took all by myself. It's called Intercultural Interpretation. So actually, it took me a while to even figure out what that meant. But it was great. I mean, it was wonderful, and the kids were wonderful, and we managed to pull it off somehow using Zoom. And so I taught 15 weeks of this class, which essentially comes down to creative writing in the English language, and then kind of extending that to storyboarding, and finally to kind of making a short motion video. And because of the pandemic and because of Zoom and all that, I pretty well said you could do whatever you want. I mean, what are you going to do, right? So if you want to use your phone and make a sort of film that way, or if you want to use kind of an online animated system, many of them did that. So, and some of them were great. Oh my God. Some of them were just hilarious.
I'd be curious to see how some of them turned out.
I'll send you the links. You should see them all. They were fun. Ranging from kind of overacting sort of wonderful PSA about phone addiction, about social media addiction, to a wonderful kind of Thai version of South Park, you know.
I'm intrigued.
So that's the kind of thing that got them interested and got me interested. It's a very open-minded faculty. They want people to be artists and creators. So it wasn't about teaching English so much. That's what I found the most interesting. In fact, some of the students speak English very well and some not so well. But I refrained I held back from trying to sort of correct their English. I was more focused on encouraging their artistry, right?
That sounds fascinating.
It is interesting.
Well, have you learned any new teaching tools or strategies that you'd care to share?
Yeah, it's about, it's always come back down to listening. It's challenging in Thailand sometimes because of the culture of Gwang Jai. So sometimes people may not say what they think. And so they're going to be polite and sort of defer to you. However, I have experienced in this university that the students are more excited to talk and they're more forward. So if you can just get them to be engaged and not to be shy, that's the main thing. I can't think of anything else yet, but I'm sure I'll have lots to learn this time.
So from what I've seen over the years, teaching post-secondary isn't the easiest type of job to get as an English teacher. How did you end up securing a university teaching position?
I guess I taught a few guest classes there, and then I finally got a meeting with Kunjam at the International College, and she said she wanted me to try teaching this intercultural interpretation class. And based on what I guess she'd seen all my sort of materials, my resume and so on online, right? And the fact that I'm an actor and I worked in movies. It's not full-time, but it's closer to full-time, right? We would teach about 18 hours a week.
So when you said you did some guest lectures, were those just volunteering at your own time to sort of get your
No,
foot
I was still paid. And actually paid quite well, I think. Really, it was paid quite well. But they would only be, for example, single lectures, or I taught a series of 5 ESL or English for International Relations at the Social Sciences Department. So this is for the students who are learning diplomacy, international relations, things like the UN Security Council, that culture and that language.
And were they things you had seen on a job board, or you knew somebody at the university who said they were?
No, it was always that I had talked to someone and they had talked to someone else. It's always the way in Thailand, I think.
So
it's always who you know.
Very beneficial to know somebody who works there.
Yeah, you get to know people. If this is the way Thailand works, and not just in getting work, in everything. So you can't really do anything on your own. Everything is collective. You know, if you try and move a parking cone, they won't let you do that. They want there's someone there to do that for you, and it kind of makes sense, right? It's not about better or lower or higher or anything. It's about just everyone wants to share the burden in every possible way. So you just get used to people walking into your room and start cleaning when you're sitting there.
It's kind of like that here in Costa Rica too. Like at the grocery store, every little thing has a person doing that job, whether it's putting the shopping carts back or letting you into the parking lot or taking bill payments. There's like just such a community. The grocery store itself is a community of.
This is great. This is something that we miss in North America, I think. You know,
I do miss that about Japan. It was the same.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's happened over time and over our evolution as a species is the North American sort of standard of living is kind of an unattainable or sort of unsustainable standard in really. Plus, we have sort of exclude each other from a kind of social connection that, you know, that a long time ago we may have had. And I love the things, the customs in Thailand about sharing, about politeness, about sort of acknowledging another person before you do anything. And of course, in Thailand, you have to eat. You can't do anything until you eat. And that's a greeting. If you want to say, hi, how are you? Often it's, have you eaten? You know, gin kao rian, rayong, right? That's the first thing they say. Oh, I've eaten or not.
Well, I could just totally talk about Thai food forever, but I did want to get back to a little bit the immigration and visa question. So you mentioned you were able to get your non-immigrant B visa and your work permit. So did you get that from within Thailand, or did you have to do a visa run to a neighboring country?
I did not have to do a visa run. Now, there's a couple of things to mention. This took us several times. We made several mistakes, both the university, I guess myself too, and on top of that, just not leaving enough time, right? So yes, it's possible to do that from within the country, but it's very complicated. And in the end, the way we solved the problem was to find the right person, like a sort of an agent. There's many of those people here in Thailand who charge way too much, like a lot, to do that. But luckily, the university administration knew someone who could do it for not so much. And it totally is worth its weight in money. I mean, in gold, whatever, because the false steps we made and the mistakes we made by either missing a piece of paper or not leaving enough time, and then all the extra forms you have to fill out. You have to get a form sent to the Ministry of Education and approved by them. Then you have to get your degree notarized by the Canadian consulate. And then that has to be notarized again by the Thai ministry.
So a lot of the same things people are having to do from their home country if they're applying from their home country. Just sort of reverse, I guess. I think if you do it here, you have to get it authenticated by the Thai embassy or consulate.
Yes, I think so. And actually, in a way, I think it's easier if you do it from your home country.
Probably.
It's a lot easier. Yeah.
But you needed to have all your original documents with you in Thailand in order to get them authenticated there.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
good to know.
So I did it. And eventually this guy was really great because he could speak enough English. I could talk to him, and then he could talk to all the different departments, including immigration, and make sure they were all like following the right deadlines and filling out all the right forms. And if you get one thing wrong, you have to start over. It's crazy.
Don't want to do that.
It's really crazy.
So have you made any new discoveries about Thai culture, or do you have any new advice for people coming to Thailand for the first time?
I really love the sort of, like I say, I love the culture and the way that people treat each other. By the same token, that can cause some frustration sometimes, like with the bureaucracy and so on, right? For example, this politeness I talk about can mean that administration is frightened to talk to you about things that need to be talked about. So if you don't take it in hand and make sure you're clear, often things will get mistaken or misinterpreted, and that's where mistakes are made, right? So and it's super important to be really calm, really just patient, because I've heard stories of other Falang teachers who will scold the Thai people because they've done something like this. So yeah, I mean, they were pretty pleased with. I was very jai yen about everything, Yeah, so that means here's the other thing. I'm very fortunate that happened is that Kun Jam just said, "Well, we're going to start your contract on September 1st, but no need to teach any classes yet. You can start coming to meetings in October. We'll ask you to maybe join a few classes October, November, come to more meetings, just sort of gradually integrate into the system." So I'm not like slammed right away with like teaching a bunch of courses, right?
So it's not like my experience in Korea at all.
It does or it doesn't?
No, it's not. I was it was watch some classes the first day, teach said classes the second day.
Right, jump right in. And how did that work for you? Was that okay? Or?
It didn't go super well. In fact, the first few weeks I wasn't great. My students weren't super pleased with my teaching, but I got the hang of it after a while.
Okay.
I think as most people do, you need to do the job for a while before you really start to shine at it.
Of course.
There's very different expectations and both school and student expectations than what I'd experienced before in other teaching roles I'd had. Every culture is a bit different, right? With different expectations.
Sure.
The Thai culture does strike me as quite relaxed and laid back.
Yes. And actually, we're talking about university level teaching, but the reality is, especially in undergrad university, it's very kind of almost like high school in a way, right? I mean, it's yes, they can be more sophisticated in different faculties, but it's a different level of expectation than I think elsewhere in the world.
Okay, well, the next question we had for you was, have you done any interesting travels in the last 9 months that you want to tell us about?
I've done a few. Believe it or not, through the pandemic, we managed to actually travel a few times. And we went to, about a year ago, we went to Chiang Mai, which was great. And we went, since then, we've gone to Pattaya like 3 times, which is kind of fun. It's a bit touristy and a bit kind of...
Bit of a party town.
Yeah, which I'm not into that at all. I really am not. In fact, I find myself hugely embarrassed to be white, a white man in Thailand, when I see some of the things people come here to do, right? I'm like, this is just so uncivilized, And anyways, that's just not who I am. But there's many wonderful things there as well. We've been to Bang Khun Tien, which is right on the ocean. And they, went on a boat and that sort of thing. And most recently in August, we went to London, England.
Wow.
Actually. And it was a bit of a whirlwind trip. We just saw as many things as we could over 5 days. And I went to see my relatives on the Sunday. So I hadn't seen them for 40 years. So.
Wow.
Wow.
That must have been awesome.
It was amazing. It was very quick though. I mean, I only got to see them for a few hours, but enough that it was worthwhile.
And how did you find the traveling experience now that things have opened up a little bit?
Well, it's like this. It seems like everybody in the world wants to travel all at once and everywhere, and everything is full to the max and expensive and difficult. And but apart from that, it was fine. I mean, I just kind of like go with the flow, right? So, but every single seat is full. Every single seat in the restaurants are full because everything is really expensive, and that's just the way life is, right? But it's still London, and London is still great. So
I've been. It's a beautiful city.
No,
So
it was
totally,
very different from when I was there. I was there in 1981.
Oh wow!
And I actually worked at the Savoy Hotel at that time, and had a few other jobs too. So we went back there. It's really different now.
Nice. Totally switching gears, Brian. It seems like every other headline has the word inflation in it these days. What's the economy like in Thailand at the moment? Is it still a relatively affordable place to live on a foreign teacher's salary?
It seems to be, but also I'm really scared by this sort of rapid increase in price here as well. It's the same, right? It depends where you go. For touristy things, for sure, they're really trying to like slam you with if you're a tourist, right? But if you kind of hang out more locally, you can still find more reasonable meals or even accommodation, I think. But if you're trying to do the elite tourist adventure, it's pretty crazy expensive. So it's a matter of being creative, I think, that kind of thing. If you order online, I noticed suddenly we do order a lot online for food. We'll get the motorcycle to bring us food. And that's one thing you just watch it. It's gone up almost 100%, right? Like something that would have cost, 120 baht might cost 250 baht now.
Well, it just got me thinking. I mean, in my experience, often it helps if you know somebody locally. They know where to go to find good prices and things like that. So I guess if anyone wants to hop on the Teaching Abroad group on Facebook, for Facebook users, that might be a good place to ask for advice or input from people who have been there and done that.
Sure, like there's little local markets everywhere. And that's, in my opinion, that's where you want to go if you don't mind trying to speak Thai and try and figure out what to eat and that sort of thing.
Live like a local. That's my motto.
Yeah,
it's usually the
too.
cheapest if you buy locally.
You can still do it. You can still go and buy something. You might want to be careful about things that are too spicy or what have you, but you just have to kind of jump in and learn that sort of part of the world.
Okay, well, so next it seems like the governments around the world are trying to ease society into sort of a post-pandemic life. So is that the case in Thailand currently? Are there still a lot of safety precautions in the schools?
We have safety precautions still. Masks are kind of becoming not mandatory outside, that sort of thing, but people are still all wearing them anyways, right? And the testing has stopped. I think there's still a lot of COVID going around, actually. So the problem with that is you'll get people wanting to all return to normal life, and yet they're still getting sick. So then they'll have to shut the school down. And the other thing we're having the problem with is because the government and because universities are kind of really trying to push people to go back to normal, we're getting massive problems with transportation. Like traffic is just impossible. It's almost 12 hours a day of traffic jam and you can't go anywhere. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's really frustrating. And I know Pete and I get really upset because like we're spending so much time in the car just to do one or two things, right? And it's really we're wondering how we can figure this out.
Is it faster to skateboard?
It might be faster to skateboard. And actually, I have found a little bit of a solution, and that is if we don't drive, if I take like a little motorcycle, I just hire a motorcycle to go to the subway. The subway is actually really good. So I got the other day, I just crossed the road and this motorcycle picked me up and drove me. That's another story too, how exciting that is, right? Driving through the cars and everything, like brushing into buses and stuff. And I got to the subway in 10 minutes and then got to university in another 20 minutes. So that was like, great. That was great.
This was a long time ago, but I remember going on the Sky Train or whatever it's called there. I thought it was great. Very modern, very quick, rapid transit system.
Yeah. And actually the subway is even better. Like the Sky Train is good, but subway, if you can actually find connecting like stations, it's really fast.
Nice.
And of course, we're trying to find a place closer to university. That's the thing. Right now, we're actually over by the river, by Bedrock, and the university is by Sukhumvit. It's a problem with that area is it's very expensive. So we're trying to figure out a way, because if we have to go into class with traffic, it's going to be really hard. So that's our biggest concern, right? No, I'm less concerned about teaching. I think I'll be fine, but I'm worried about like getting up in the morning and going there and stuff. So trying to figure out that stuff.
Yeah, I admit I've been a big fan of the remote working for that reason.
Yeah, as are we. I mean, there's the other side of it, and that is, I believe we're kind of unbalanced with staying in the room too much. You know what I mean? And that's definitely something that's been happening a lot for us. So we'll actually start going insane and like have to go outside, right? Because we're stuck in the room too much.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we let you go?
No, I just thank you for having me again. I'm looking forward to writing for you guys again, and I guess I'll keep you updated with the work at the faculty. And I love the way that they're allowing me to teach more stuff,
Sounds
not just
amazing.
English. There's all kinds of things. Might even be teaching French. I'm not.
Sounds
I'm
like
not
a
sure
very
yet.
supportive work environment.
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Well, it's always great to hear from you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
on the show.
we like all of our graduates staying in touch with us over the years, and we're always looking forward to helping people find new jobs again in the future. Can't promise any university positions in Thailand through job placement, but thanks again, Brian.
Okay.
All right.
It was great
Okay, good.
talking to you again. It's always good to have you.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
But before we go, we would like to
Yes.
do a little job placement update for those job seekers who might be listening. So,
Right.
Rowan, what would you like to share with us today?
Well, I think it's worth mentioning that the public and private elementary and secondary school programs in Thailand will, for the most part, have wrapped up recruitment for the second term. October starts at this point. But if you're really keen to get to Thailand this year, there's always a few last minute openings or unfilled positions still available, especially in the more remote or rural areas of the country. So if you're looking for a bit of an adventure off the beaten track, Thailand might still be a good option to explore, especially for a short-term contract. And if you're looking ahead to next year, January is a good time to start applying for positions that begin when the school year officially starts in May. So get in touch with your job placement advisor to find out more.
Okay, sounds good. So thanks for tuning into the Teaching Abroad pod. We'll be releasing new episodes every third Wednesday. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe and also share it with your friends. Remember, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, etc. If you have any great ideas you'd like to hear us discuss in upcoming episodes, please leave them in the comments on YouTube, send them in the comments to Oxford Seminars on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or email us at teachingabroadpod, all one word, at oxfordseminars.com.
See ya.